I'm gonna clap. That's our end. He doesn't need the clap. He doesn't. He already has the clap. He doesn't need the clap, but I just can't not do it. Hey, welcome to the Fireside Tattoo Podcast. My name is Jake. This is Mat Purdy. This is our. I'm gonna stop saying which episode it is because what I'll say is like, oh, this is our second show at Space City, and then whenever we actually put them out, they go in a completely different order, so it comes out as like the sixth show. So I won't say. Yeah, exactly. They intentionally mix it up to make me look stupid. So Matt's out of the Atlanta area. What's the town?
Ackworth.
Ackworth.
Yep.
Which is
northwest.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so you're surrounded by great tattooers all over. Every suburb of Atlanta has great tattooers.
Very good artists.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're born there or you moved there?
Yeah, I was born and raised in Paulding, actually.
Okay.
So it's like right outside of Ackworth.
And started tattooing at what age?
18, 2007.
Wow. So it's basically the only job you've had, huh?
No, I've had other jobs. I worked full-time job, went to college, and tattooed full-time as well. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
So working into it, you worked another job to support it while you went through an apprenticeship or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you go through kind of a traditional apprenticeship?
At first, I had a hard time getting in the door, but then I did finally find a good, stable place to get an apprenticeship.
Yeah. And so you've moved. I don't know if you started there, but you're obviously influenced by a lot of like pop culture, 90s kind of pop culture and earlier. Yeah. So you do a lot of like I'm looking at your banner and it's the Nintendo.
Yeah, the Game Boy.
Game Boy,
yeah. Video games and comic books, cartoons really influenced my art. It's actually what I wanted to do whenever I first started. Wasn't what I got to do, but now that I'm later on in my career, I can do it.
So what did you? So it's what you wanted to tattoo when you first started tattooing. Yeah. So you weren't necessarily looking to become an illustrator or a graphic artist for Nintendo or anything like that. No. You always knew you wanted to tattoo.
Yeah. Probably middle school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And in the high school, I hung out with a lot of tattooers. Hung out in shops. Just drew for them. Tried to get my foot in the door. It didn't work, but I tried. At least I learned how to, design somebody else's tattoos.
Yeah. So when you became interested in tattoos in middle school, was it what year would that have been? Was social media around? Were tattoos really prevalent in
MySpace?
Gotcha.
So tattoo artists didn't really have a lot of MySpaces. Like everybody. Tattooers were like, nah. I think it was like Tattoo Nation and like there's a few other websites and stuff that was on there.
Yeah.
But
so your experience with tattooing wasn't necessarily through the internet at all at that point?
No, it was magazines mainly.
Okay.
Yeah. Every week I would go, or every month I would pick up a new issue from Walmart or Barnes & Noble, whatever.
Yeah. Who were you? Were any tattooers standing out to you at that point?
At the time, Eddie Arg, I looked up to him a lot. Dino Cook was nearby. Tony. Then, man, there were so many good artists just around my own area that I was like, all right, this is a little intimidating,
Right.
But it was a good goal. I could see different people and kind of figure out what I wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And so as far as trying to brand yourself towards that kind of cartoon and pop culture style, did you just drew that way so people came to you, or did you actively market yourself in that way?
Well, I would draw, like nostalgic tattoos, cartoons and stuff, and that wasn't working that much. It wasn't until I started doing Pokemon business cards and marketing everything towards that, and every time I would hand somebody that, they'd be like, well, that's what he's into. And it put a standard, it put a just a good starting point. Like people are like, okay, that's what he likes. Even though that he doesn't do a lot of it, that's what he likes. And then it just kind of built from there. And I've kept different Pokemon business cards and just marketed myself and just put it out there.
Yeah.
It took a lot of work, but it works.
I noticed you make a lot of stickers, really cool stickers.
Yeah, thank you.
That's kind of your I was flipping through your Instagram to kind of refresh myself at breakfast this morning, and you're like actively marketing, like, hey, I'll have these stickers at this event coming up. So it's just another kind of avenue of marketing what you do, and
especially with other tattooers, you know, we got, you know, boxes and toolboxes and stuff, and everybody slaps all these stickers on, so their clients be like, oh, who did that? And like, oh, my buddy, you know. So it helps out, you know, especially with stickers. You know, I dabble in T-shirts and stuff. You know, I started that brand 2 years ago, so I've been kind of dabbling in the T-shirt world, you know. But
it just is most of what you're doing kind of, are they one-shot tattoos for the most part, or you do?
That's what I like to do.
Yeah.
You know, stuff I can get done in about 6 to 8 hours, all one sitting. That way, it's fresh on my mind. I can get into it, get out of it. If I do need to go back in and tighten up a few things, I can. You know, but it's not a second long session on the person, and they can start enjoying their tattoo.
Yeah. And so so you take more of a kind of a traditional approach to tattooing for that reason, I guess, rather than layering and textures and blends and stuff like that. You try to approach it in a traditional tattoo way of like lining and shading and coloring and
I do layer my colors, you know, but I definitely try to get it all done as much as possible in the first session.
Well, let's tackle a viewer question.
Cool.
Am I grabbing this? I was going to shake these around, but I feel like I was supposed to grab this one because maybe it's a joke on me or something like that. How big does your dick have to be to make color bright? Evan Qualls.
Enough to put black in there.
That's true. It's got to be big enough to hold the black. So, I mean, that's a joke. But let's talk for a second about bright color. You know, people will always say, and then with the type of tattoos that you do, people are like, I love how bright your colors are. These like that guy does washier colors; they're not as bright. And I always try to encourage people, or try to help people understand, like the perceived brightness of that color has almost nothing to do with that color itself. It has to do with the contrast that surrounds it and whatever else. What's your take on that, or what's your approach to color?
You know, I definitely make sure I have all my darks in there so that my brights look even brighter. If I don't have my darks, it's going to look very flat and very muted, and over time it's not going to hold. But without those darks, you know, you're not going to have those brights to you know, contrast and tell the difference between those two. And a lot of people that ask me, how do you do that? And I'm like, black and darker colors. And they're like, what? But your colors are so bright. And I'm like, but without those, you wouldn't be able to tell.
You would never tell. And then a lot of times also, it's when you try to cram too many bright colors, and a lot of people who work in the style that you do, everything is bright on bright, and then nothing looks very bright because everything is so bright. Like
it's too chaotic at that point. You know, so with those muted tones and stuff, like you can draw your eye to the focal point rather than your eyes just wanting to do this number the whole time. You know, you look at your focal point, and then you can enjoy the tattoo from the center and then out.
I noticed you brought your whole ink set, and you have quite a few inks. Do you use a huge color palette, or do you limit it for a tattoo?
Yeah, I usually have, you know, in between like 3 to 5 tones of the same color, you know, and just try to, you know, go from one hue to another.
So rather than like, you know, mixing a red with a yellow to mix it down, you'll actually set out reds that moved up and down the value scale and temperature scale?
For the most part, you know, I do mix a little bit, you know, add a little bit of white here, or if I'm about to transition from like a blue to a yellow, you know, I'll mix the two together to get that like in-between color to have like a nice transition. You know, I do that a lot.
Talk for a second about the equipment that you're using. You said that you started working with rotaries originally. With coils originally. Moved to rotaries, kind of like everyone has done. Was there any reason that you made that jump, just because it was?
Yeah, I started working at a private studio. You know, and we don't have a bio room for autoclave, so I had to switch all over to disposables. And you know, since I was using like a 11-ounce, 9-ounce machine, you know, using disposables, it was just cramping my hand too bad, and my work was suffering, so I switched over to rotaries.
And we were talking last night, you're still using a traditional needle and tube setup. You haven't moved to cartridges just
Not yet. I plan to. I definitely see a huge difference in a lot of people's work and stuff, and hear great things. So
yeah, and they're, we had this discussion a little bit last night, but they're all, they're kind of hit or miss. There's some that are chattery and junky, and then some that are really nice, and then some that are kind of in the middle. The thing that it really changed for me was being able to have so many configurations set up and being able to switch without having to change machines constantly.
I'm pretty jealous of that.
So you're in a private studio, but with a couple of other artists, right?
There's 3 other artists.
And so what do you guys? So what makes it with other artists? What makes it a private studio instead of just a shop?
I mean, we don't have like open hours. If we want to keep the door closed, we can. We come and go as we please. We work on our set tattoos. We can focus on those and do 100% on those rather than have to worry about 80% on this one and 20% on my last one.
So do you have some help at with scheduling, front desk, all that kind of stuff, or do you guys?
Yeah, we got a manager. He does most of our scheduling, answers the emails, front counter, so forth.
And you guys just you all just split everything into quarters? Is it just that, or is it one of you guys' shop and the other one rents booths, or how does it work?
Yeah, pretty much Will owns the shop, and we pay a little booth rent, help out with bills. He helps us out a tremendous amount, giving us so much freedom. We're not having to pay an outrageous amount of money for booths so that we can work less and more comfortably.
Yeah.
In our lives.
Does he cover? Or is everyone buying their own equipment and supplies for the most part?
Yeah, we take care of our own stuff, but we'll help each other out. Hey, you got caramel? Yeah, I got caramel.
Yeah. What about as far as shot like professional liability insurance, all that stuff? Does he cover all that stuff for you?
We do all that separately.
All that separately. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm just asking because we get a lot of questions about people wanting to move to private setups, and and people are always asking when they're starting shops, well, should we do a commission split or should we do booth rentals? And so always when someone's in a unique position like that, I always try to get an idea of what they're doing.
Well, the reason why I wanted to do a private studio was mainly because I'm an independent contractor, and I wanted to be treated like one. I didn't want to pay 28% taxes where I'm at and have so many guidelines and, you have to be here at this time and you have to leave at this time. You have all these extra duties that you shouldn't have or whatever, and I just wanted to be treated like that, who I was, Right. Now, if you're W-2, work those hours,
Yeah.
But, I'm 1099, so.
Yeah. Let's grab a real question. I mean, since Evan's being funny. But, that was something that's worth talking about. I'll just grab the next one on top here. All right, what's the best way to market yourself at a convention? So that's fitting for what we're doing here. This is from Ms. Rose Tattoo, MIZROZE. TATTOOZ, a lot of Z's in that name. And I recognize her name. She's asked questions before. Hey, Miss Rose. All right, so how do you've got a very specific brand, which makes it probably, at least you know what to do, what you're marketing. Yeah. How do you market yourself?
Personally, if I've never been to a town, I usually hit up the sponsored bars, go to their Instagram, maybe do a sponsored ad for their followers, stuff like that kind of helps. And then I can market towards also people that like video games or like game companies around the area as well, so that I get more of that kind of clientele.
And you're building that through Facebook ads or through what, Instagram?
Usually Instagram.
Yeah. Well, that's a good idea. So you're actually going, and I think now you actually build. Do you build the ads in Instagram, or since Instagram bought Facebook, I think you build it
it's through Facebook.
Yeah. But you can actually find people who are following Space City Tattoo Expo and create an ad specifically to the people who are following that. Yeah. That is such a powerful thing to be able to do, to be able to pinpoint, especially coming to a town like Huntsville, where probably I don't really know anyone in Huntsville. Do you? Maybe a few.
No, I've tattooed a few people out here, but it's just been from Instagram.
And so especially bouncing maybe to another part of the country, like at least Huntsville's kind of close but it's in between the two of us, you in Atlanta and me in Memphis. But like for example, we're doing Evergreen next month, and that's in Eugene, Oregon. I don't know a single person in Eugene, Oregon. Either. So it's but the ability to be able to say, hey, who is following the Evergreen Tattoo Expo? Yep. Maybe I'll put a little tattoo that I'd like to do on a sponsored ad towards those people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot to be said for that.
Yeah, that's mainly how I market it, that, and I always give my current clients, if it's a close drive for them, I'll give them first shot. If they want to get tattooed at a convention, I'll let them have the experience because it's a great experience. It's fun seeing all the other artists. It might, encourage them to go and collect another piece from another artist that they saw, so I give them like first dibs, and then I start marketing towards the town and stuff.
Yeah. Do you find that a lot of your clientele just want the experience of being tattooed at a convention?
Yes, a lot of them do. They like the attention, the distraction, whenever you're able to people watch, you can be like, oh, look at that person. Oh, look at that person. You don't even realize that you're getting tattooed at that point because you're just having that much fun,
Yeah. What about as far as the challenges of tattooing at conventions for you? Do you, lighting is always an issue. Getting good photos is always a pain.
Yeah, photos are definitely the worst.
Yeah. Do you have any, if someone's looking to maybe do their first convention, this might be another question that's in here, and I'm going to ask it twice.
Right.
But if you, outside of marketing yourself for the convention, do you have any tips for maybe stuff you did wrong for your first few shows? Things, did you bring too much, not bring enough?
Brought too much and didn't organize it. I just crammed it all in the box, and I was like, oh, I'll do that whenever I get there. And then I realized I only have, a 5 foot by 5 foot spot.
Yeah.
So I might want to have it organized before I go, so I don't have to throw it all out, get into somebody else's space,
Yeah.
So now I have a system, these color inks go in this box, this color inks go in this box, and then so forth. And then I know exactly which one it is. I have exactly the amount of needles I need, maybe a few extras, and if I need to, I can grab some from a company or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I always think of. I used to stress myself, or I still do stress myself, with making sure that I don't, I literally was walking out of the door with everything packed and glanced down and saw my foot switch that I had unplugged from the power supply and left laying in my studio floor. I was like, oh shit, I almost left without a foot switch, which is not the end of the world because they have foot switches out here. So whatever you leave without, you can probably pick up. So it's probably not worth completely stressing yourself over. But if you do have that system in place and this is the way that my pack is supposed to look, and a foot switch belongs here, and it's not there, then
Yeah, I have a convention foot switch, and it's funny that you brought that up because I opened it up, and for some odd reason, all my wires were frayed, and I was like, well, then I guess I got to buy another foot switch. So what do you pack things in? What do you use I have a big tote. Half of it's merch, and then the other half is just miscellaneous stuff that I can't fit in my toolbox. It's just a roll-away toolbox, slides open. It has a little bit of organized compartments on top. Just
not a tattoo-specific case, just something you bought it, whatever.
Yeah. I think I got it at Sam's Club or something.
Yeah. I did the same. I just bought a Stanley rolling toolbox from Lowe's for $40 or whatever, and it's a little chintzy. Anytime we have to fly with it, I find that the buckles, where it buckles down, the little metal tabs are all bent crazy ways from where they're throwing them around. But it's cheap enough, and I'm sure it'll.
$40 is $40. So.
Exactly. If I have to go buy another one tomorrow, I'll just do that. But I do see people that are really, they travel with a lot of stuff, and they're really well organized. What about as far as props, your arm prop, your table, massage tables? Do you bring that stuff along with you for the most part?
Yeah, as long as I don't have to fly.
Okay.
If I have to fly, my tassel table is 2 inches too big for carry-on. So, they won't allow you with that table, unfortunately. Now, if you get the smaller size, you can. But if I have to fly, normally I'll just try to figure something out. A lot of the bigger conventions have a booth where they rent out furniture and stuff. So I might just rent a table from them if I need it, that, or just try to figure out how to use the convention tables.
Right. Yeah. I found myself lining up chairs to lay people down across 4 chairs, and then I sit on the floor. And I guess you just get creative, do whatever you have to do. It is nice being in conventions that you can actually drive to and not have to worry as much about that stuff. We're struggling a little bit, especially flying out to Oregon next month. I think we may end up just having to package and ship. Some of our stuff there, which adds a lot to the cost, but it would be a lot cheaper than having to check all those bags.
Yeah, I did that in Texas, and I told the UPS guy, hey, man, make sure that you put the toolbox in a box, and it's still that box. And he goes, I got you. I get to Texas. the bottom half of my toolbox is missing.
Oh,
in
no.
the top half. And luckily I insured it. But they only gave me like 60% after I threatened them with a lawyer. They only gave me 60% of what my
what your equipment was worth. So you
Mhm.
never recovered the equipment?
no, it never showed up. I guess somebody went through it, picked it out. So yeah, if you are going to ship out, make sure that you put it in the box before you
you
go.
take
Make sure that you have a box or ask for a box, put it in there, you seal it, you watch it being closed, because I made that mistake and never again.
Yeah. Oh, that sucks. So you lost machines and
all my machines, all my my power supply. I had my stencil paper, my ink, and maybe a clip cord, and that was about it.
What did you do at the show? Had to buy everything?
Yeah, I called up Kingpin and had them like rush it over to me. And it was actually for a guest spot and then a show. So,
okay. So
I had like
a little while.
2 weeks of guest spots in downtown, like Fort Worth and Dallas area.
Yeah.
And then the show. So.
Are you doing more guest spots or conventions? Or
I do more conventions. I was trying to do a lot more guest spots then, but at the time I didn't really know that many people. So it was like, hey, do you want a guest artist? And sometimes they would bring you on, but walking into a shop where you don't know anybody, it gets a little uncomfortable. So if you can meet them at a show first, like shake some hands, get to know them a little bit, I felt a little bit more confident, going into their studio at that point.
Yeah. What's your next show? What do you have coming up? Anything?
I believe that we're going to be working the Atlanta Villain Arts.
Okay. We haven't done that. When is that?
That's in March. It'll be their first annual.
Okay. Okay. That's what. But there's another Villain Arts, right?
Yeah. There's a bunch.
Okay. Yeah. I just knew I knew the name.
I want to say, like, if I had to guess, like 15 to 20 Villain Arts. They just try to do one in each state or something.
Gotcha. And this will be their first time in Atlanta. I'm sure they'll do well there.
Yeah, I think they're teaming up with Tony this year. So.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, cool, man. I know you have tattoos to do. I'm glad we got you. We got in.
Oh, yeah,
got
man.
an early start today.
Thank you.
And so you're working on a what today?
Cartoon Network, like WB, style stuff. Just little characters. We're adding it to a thigh that we've already started.
Awesome. Yep. And it is Purdy Tattoos. What's your
Instagram? Ink by Purdy.
Ink by Purdy, Purdy. I'm sure. Yep. So if you want to see that tattoo when he finishes it today, I'm sure it'll be up there. If they want to get you, if anyone wants to book, what's the best way?
My email or my website is just my website's Mat Purdy, Mat with 1T.com.
I messed that up. There is another Mat Purdy tattooer
in Dallas, Texas.
Okay. When I searched for your name, it popped up and I clicked and I was like, this is not the same tattoo. And so it was all like black and gray stuff. Yeah. So. All right, check him out, look him up. Thanks, man. Appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate it. No,
thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.